All right, good morning, YouTube denizens. This is Wei from the Six Figure Academy, and we are back again this week, once again, at the Money Lab podcast. We're starting always as usual. Always as usual. I don't even know what that means, but we're starting on YouTube so that first, before we start on the Spreaker Studio on the podcast audio version. So for those of you who are on YouTube, we get to see us and say hi first to us and say hi to our guest, Nicole Jansen today. Say hi.
Hi, glad to be here, Wei.
Very cool. So just to give you guys a heads up that we have some pretty unique circumstances. I have new neighbors next door, so there's always kind of interesting sounds that may come up. Nicole just moved down to San Diego, so she's near the airport, so there's planes that'll be flying by, and so yeah, really cool thing. And because we're live, you're gonna get the real deal. So there's no covering it up or editing it out. So get excited. So we have about a minute. So Nicole, why don't you do a quick little 30-second, who are you and what is it that you do?
Sure. So I own a company called Discover the Edge, and I coach entrepreneurs and business leaders to take their business and their life to the next level, really helping them to play to their strengths. That's how we take them to the next level, is helping them to hone in on what are their strengths, what's their passion, and what they can make money at. And I also host a podcast called Leaders of Transformation. I've had some awesome guests on. Cool. And and look forward to having you on the show. We need to.
Oh, that's right. I haven't been on your show. We talked about
that. I just realized I was like, and Wei's been on. I'm like, no, wait, he hasn't. We keep talking about it.
Right. So we got to make that happen. But I got you on first. So nah. All right. Once again, it's top of the hour. So let me quiet on the set. I'm going to start the studio so we can start recording the iTunes audio version only of this.
Ooh.
Go. 1, 2, 3. All right, welcome to the Money Lab live podcast, episode number 49, turning stepbacks into stepping stones. All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Money Lab podcast from the Six Figure Academy. I am your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy, and this is the podcast where we give you tips, strategies, and interviews with other entrepreneurs on how to create that ultimate six-figure entrepreneur lifestyle free of bad money stories, money anxiety, and stress so that you can monetize your dreams and execute your genius. Now, if you haven't already downloaded our free ebook from money anxiety to six-figure mastery, make sure you go to go.thesixfigureacademy.com, put that in the URL bar, and get it there. It's the perfect complement to all the things we discuss on the show and with our guests. And quite frankly, it could change your life. Now, if you are joining us live today and you're not on YouTube Live and haven't said hi to us already, make sure you get on Spreaker.com or download the Spreaker app on your mobile device and search for the hashtag The Money Lab so that you can join us in the chat room and ask questions and interact with us and our guests, like today, Nicole Jansen, and even request a specific topic to discuss that will help support you in your quest for the ideal six-figure lifestyle. Now, while you're there, subscribe so that you don't miss an episode and you can catch us every week. For all of the ways to find us, go to thesixfigureacademy.com/radio for all the details. And if there's something that you love about what you hear on the episode today, which you absolutely will, that you know that could help someone you care about, remember, sharing is caring. Share this show to that person. So just had an amazing, fantastic week. Just came back from Las Vegas. Got a chance to speak at the American Association Conference for Cosmetic Surgeons, which was interesting. We were talking about conflict in the workplace, insanity in the workplace, and had an opportunity to talk to a room full of people to help them resolve some of those challenges through using the assessment tool that we utilize here at the Six Figure Academy and at HumanOp. And just to give you a quick announcement, this coming weekend, I will be emceeing an event locally here at the Redondo Portofino Inn. It's called the Energy, Mind, and Body Transformation Experience. We have about 6 speakers coming in and talking. We have an expert panel at the end of the day talking about boosting your energy, how to clear your mind and strengthen your body, and make 2018 the best year ever. So for all details around that, just follow us, and it's all over the place. But we'll put a link on the comments of the show. So anyway, enough about us. the rest of the show today is going to be about our amazing guest. I've known Nicole for a while, but for those of you who don't know her, let me give you a quick little bio what she's all about. Because over the last 30 years, Nicole Jansen has, I mean, if you've been watching YouTube, you probably heard a little bit of her already. But for those of you who haven't been watching YouTube, I'll do this little thing here. But basically, she is an amazing human being. I've heard so many things about her. I was introduced to her because we were meant to be peers and colleagues to kind of share some amazing experiences together in terms of what we've both done for entrepreneurs. And she's basically committed herself to helping entrepreneurs transform their ideas into highly profitable and rewarding businesses. You know, one that is, like what she says, is one that is fueled by God-given strengths and passions, aligns with their values, and allows them to make a lasting impact in the community. I'm really excited to have her. I mean, her clients span over 5 continents all over the world, and they range from startups to industry leaders that are looking to expand their business into the next level and beyond. She is a business breakthrough coach, in terms of the niche, similar to me, human behavior specialist and host of the Leaders of the Transformation podcast, which I guess apparently I'm supposed to be on soon, next. But I'm really excited to have her on the show. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, really kind of maybe potentially pull out your notepads, because she's going to share a lot about her journey and some of the gemstones that she's discovered on how to utilize and turn those setbacks into stepping stones for success. So thank you and welcome to the show, Nicole.
Oh, thank you, Wei. I really appreciate you having me on my show, having me on your show. Let's try that again. And I speak for a living. But I really just enjoy watching you in action. It's just such a pleasure, and I have a great deal of respect for you. So to be on this show is truly a pleasure. And I don't just say that. I think you're really awesome and what you do. And we had a chat actually not that long ago, and got a chance to experience a little bit of your style and coaching, and you're amazing. So like one of the top coaches
so
I know.
Yeah, that means a lot coming from someone like you who's so accomplished in so many things, and where you've come from and everything to get to where you are today. And really, since we've last met till where you are now, even more stories to share, I'm sure, from that whole experience. And just in case, for those of you who don't remember, on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you could actually ask questions. There is a live chat that is open that I'm constantly monitoring. So for those of you who are watching and seeing me looking at my screen, what I'm really doing is I'm checking to make sure that if any questions come in, we can make sure we address them. And for those of you on Spreaker, there is a chat screen on there too, whether on your mobile or online. Pipe in with your questions, and you're gonna want to ask those questions, because it's such a treat to have someone like Nicole on our show, because she's been able to help so many people all over the world. So Nicole, tell us a little bit about what brought you to where you are today, because you come from what I remember, you come from a background where you grew up around entrepreneurs, but it was a really interesting dynamic. So can you share with us exactly how you got to where you are today?
Well, and today we're going to be talking about setbacks becoming stepping stones. And certainly I've learned that in a number of areas of my life, not only in business, but also in relationships and health and finance, money. Sure. You're one of your favorite subjects to talk about. So had a lot of setbacks. And one of the things is, to answer your question, is my parents were entrepreneurs. I started out very young. In fact, my dad owned garage businesses, franchises, from Canada originally. So he owned an Esso franchise. It was his first franchise, Esso being like, ExxonMobil here in the US. And, I learned a good work ethic. I learned to work hard, and for that meant for him 7 days a week. And when I was 7 years old, my parents, they actually both were working in the business. He had convinced my mom to work in the business and said, "Honey, help me out with the paperwork just until we get started, and we'll get a secretary." And then she got so good at it. He said, "Honey, you're so good. Nobody else can do it as good." So she's working 7 days a week too. They're both working really hard. And somebody introduced them to network marketing. I was 7 years old. And they said, "Yeah, I think that would be a good opportunity." In fact, my mother was the one who got really excited about it. And because she was like, we're going to make enough money. We're going to hire somebody. I'm going to get out of the garage. So anyway, I started helping them in the business very young. And by the time I started helping out even at 7 years old. I was like opening boxes and shelving I was doing inventory. I was inventory control. That's what I was. And then I gradually started taking orders. People would call, my parents would be home. I said, oh, I write that down. And then gradually by the time I was 14, I was running most of the back end of their business in terms of, my mother would check it, of course, but ordering, people would call, I'd collect all the orders. I'd arrange, compile all the orders, get the, because then of course we had to order our stuff, do all the shipping and stuff like that. So yeah, I was pretty, I can't imagine now, being 14 years old and doing that, but I didn't think anything of it at the time.
14 years old. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was doing it. And then our upline started traveling a lot. So I was doing it for them as well. So for me to start my own business at 16 years old, sales and marketing, but also then getting into business in the network marketing space, so both at the same time, was, to me, it didn't seem like an unusual thing to do at that time. And I think I was probably maybe ahead of my time, because nowadays you see all these 16, 18-year-olds doing it. Back then it was a little bit odd. So but anyway, long story, built that business up, became very successful in the business. And I ended up partnering with my parents because their business, that business was growing so well. And so I ended up partnering. So by the mid-20s, I thought that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And it was amazing. We had, business all over the world, and I think 10 or 11 countries or something, and just thousands of people. And we were making, 7, 8 figures, and, and it was awesome. I thought, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And then apparently that wasn't meant to be, because that business ended up, long story short, our upline kind of went sideways and ended up impacting the relationships, and that business completely fell apart. And so we lost everything. We tried to hold on to it, and it completely fell apart. And so that was a major, major setback. I had seen setbacks. I'd seen my parents, my dad actually invested, even when I was 11, 12 years old, had invested in some, sold the garage business, actually invested the money into something where he lost it. He didn't just lose what he had, he lost more than he had. So he ended up going bankrupt, came back from Brazil, $250,000 in debt. This was in the early 1982. $250,000 debt.
That's a lot back then, yeah.
On American Express. I'm not sure how he did that. It was all on his American Express card. So anyway, so we'd been through setbacks, but the setback of losing our business was pretty significant, and it really caused me to question what I was going to, how I was going to use that. Like, was this it? And what was I going to do with that? And that's when I started to really unpack the learning lessons, and from there get into coaching and training and working with other entrepreneurs. I really discovered my passion in the process of that. And also, we were talking about the money conversations, also asking myself, what the heck's that about? Been through this a couple of times. I swore I would never do what my parents did, and then later on, I realized I was actually starting to repeat the pattern. And it became a pattern. So, I had to realize how to break those patterns, so I didn't keep repeating it.
Right.
And that's actually a big passion for me today, is actually to break that chain, to have broken that chain, and to continue to break that chain at different levels of mediocrity, of scarcity, of struggling over money, working hard. That's why I mentioned about the working hard. They knew how to work hard, but to be able to not just work hard, but work smart and use your money wisely and make money for you.
Right. I mean, and we hear that phrase all the time: work hard and work smart, and all these different things. But, oftentimes I hear this from other entrepreneurs is, you got to work smart and not hard. But, at the same time, I years ago, I put together this work hard and smart, this little meme thing. But if you put it together, it's working from the heart, right? Because you're working hard and smart in a direction. So it's not about working smart and not working hard at all, but working hard in a smart way. Right.
Yes. And that's a really great point, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who think, well, there's kind of like, I think, two schools of thought. You have people that are getting into the entrepreneurial world. They come from the bureaucratic system, and they are taking the habits and the discipline that they have there and applying it to entrepreneurship, which it can work. But what I find, what sometimes gets in the way of it, is people think that, oh, okay, so I'm working 9 to 5, so now I own my own business. Now I got to work longer and harder to get the results. And you and I know, in entrepreneurship, you don't get paid for time. It's not how much time you put in, it's the results you get. So if you get results in 4 hours a day or 6 hours, you're done. 2 hours a day, you're like, not that you can still grow and continue to, accelerate faster, but that's the measuring stick, not how much time you spend in it. And that's also where working smart comes in. As then other people have on the other side, they'll go, oh, so I just need to work smart. And and they're looking for the thing where they don't actually have to do anything, but they're going to make millions of dollars and, overnight. And that's not you. And you may get lucky, but that's really not what it's all about. And what you said is working from your heart. It's about doing what you love. To me, business is an avenue. It's a vehicle to do what you love, and to use your gifts and your strengths and your talents, and to be able to give that and share that with the world. So it's not about just making money. That's the byproduct of it. Right. And so, it's just to me, I get passionate about this stuff, and I actually,
absolutely. I can feel it, and I can see it. And at the same time, I can also, I can absolutely relate. I mean, a lot of what we talk about here at the Six Figure Academy is, it's ironic because people come to the Six Figure Academy, like, oh, it's all about the money. It really is more about the lifestyle that the money can create or help facilitate. How does it feed our passion? How does it do what it is? So you've essentially, I mean, I think there's more that I'm going to kind of a little bit dredge out of you, because you basically made a business out of helping people take their setbacks, right? And create stepping stones for them to move forward, having them learn from their experiences. I mean, because that's what, from what I understand, what you do as a business breakthrough coach is really kind of embracing the entire journey as you have in your life.
Excuse me. Yeah. Still getting over that cold thing.
I know. Everybody has it, or not everybody has it. That's such a... And if you don't have it, you will get it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, we don't put that out there. Well, it's like I don't buy into that stuff. I'm like, I am healthy and strong, and yeah. Right. So, but yeah, you know what? The interesting thing is that what I discovered for myself and also for my clients, when they want to go to the next level, the where their purpose is. If you're trying to figure out, if some of your listeners maybe even trying to figure out, what do? I want to own my own business. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. Well, start with, what is your passion? And a lot of times it's kind of interesting, because even in the DISC model of human behavior that we use, when you do the assessment, they ask you questions about what are you most like, and what are you least like? Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is most people think that the natural behavior and how they come up with it is actually out of what you most like. What am I passionate about? What do I love? Right? It's kind of like that same question. It's like, what do I love? Oh, that's my secret. That's the secret to my, for the answer I'm looking for. What's interesting is that more powerful than that is what is your least like, or in this case, to use that example, to translate it, is that it is what upsets you. What is your greatest pain point? Mm-hmm. Because, if you look at your painful experiences that you've had in your life, there are things that you learn. There is like, I am never going back there. I am never allowing that to happen in my family. I don't want this to happen in anybody else's family, or anybody else to have to experience this in business. That's much more powerful than, ooh, I think it would be really nice to make a lot of money, or, oh, I see people doing this and I would love to do that. Sometimes that is what fuels people. They see somebody in the Olympics and, gets a gold medal, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. But is that sustainable? There's something more in the deep. That's why, it's the setbacks that actually reveal what it is that you're meant to do. What's your passion is. So I heard someone, I forget who it was, whether it was Mike Marr or somebody who said it, and he said, the thing that upsets you the most and angers you the most is your problem that you're called to solve. So you see something in the world and you go, that is unacceptable. Right. I hate seeing that in people. Like, to me, I hate seeing people settle for less. I hate mediocrity. I hate seeing people just playing small. It drives me nuts. Right. Yeah. And so I'm always calling people to a higher level. I always see the best in people. Right. And so, but that comes out of my own weakness too, because there are a lot of places that I've played small, and so I'm talking as much as I'm talking to someone else, I'm also talking to myself as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the world, when the mental emotional release therapy that I am trained in, we actually talk about that, the areas where your unconscious mind, will bring to light things that it wants to let go and resolve. So when you're charged about a particular thing, or you're charged about some circumstance in front of you, that's your unconscious mind saying, hey, we got something we need to fix here.
Yes.
Otherwise you wouldn't be charged about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And you look at other people and you say, wow, I don't want to see that in other people as well. Like there's a reason why you are doing what you do, right? There's your own experience with it. And you're saying, wow, you know what? Now I can teach. But yeah, you come from a place of not fear, but from a place of love then and saying, you know what? I'm free from it. And I want to help other people to be free from it as well. Yeah.
so I heard back there a little bit further back that you're talking about doing something, doing what you love. And there's been a big debate that's been going on right now that, a lot of the older generation is complaining that the millennials have really taken on, or the younger generation, or even Gen Z eating Tide Pods, right? What they've been taking on is really taking on this concept that I'm not going to do anything except what I do love, right? Have you heard about that debate? And then it's causing problems where they have these some kid they misconstrue that as a way of have that sense of entitlement, right? What do you say about those people who say, well, I'm not going to settle. I'm only going to do what I love, and I'm not going to do what it takes to get what I, and it actually keeps them stuck because they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. It's like, oh, when I have this, then I will do that. No, it doesn't work that way. You actually discover your purpose. You discover your true passion when you're in motion. I always say, I don't know where I heard it first, so to be able to attribute it, but I never forgot it. This person that said this: God cannot move a parked car. The universe, God, whatever. It's like, look, if you're in park, right? You're stuck in your body in motion tends to stay in motion. Body at rest tends to stay at rest. When you're at rest, you're not, you're stagnant. You're not, that big aha is probably not going to come to you, right? You got to be out there. You got to be doing something. There's another part to this is there's also a responsibility, right? It's like, I'm going to do what I want to do. That's very much an I focus. Where in reality, somebody's paying your bills, right? That mom and dad are paying your bills, or somebody's got to pay your bills, or the system's got to pay there is certain responsibilities follow your passion. But in the meantime, take care of business, take care of what you need to take care of. It's like in the church, we talk about I did some work in ministry and helping people to find their place in ministry. Cool. And part of that is and not being overworked, but doing the thing that is their gift, right? And so part of that is discovering what is your gift and your strength and your passion and doing what you love. There's another part of, here's what needs to get done. The washrooms need to be cleaned. Somebody needs to be the parking attendant. I don't think people dreamed one day I want to be a parking attendant. No, but it needs to be done because they want to be, you want to welcome people and they want to be valued. So can you do it for that reason and get beyond yourself and saying, I don't want to be a parking attendant, but to say, you know what, I'm going to serve in that way, in a positive. I'm talking about serving and just, giving of yourself to think about other people and how you can benefit. When you're out there, I know for myself, whenever I felt stuck, whenever I felt depressed, I want to go inward. I want to focus on me. That's why I get depressed. And I have been depressed. Trust me. I mean, I've been there where I did not want to wake up in the morning, and I was like, God, please take me.
Setbacks, right?
Yeah, that's part of the setback, right? It's like I got to a point even just a few short years ago where it's like, I do not want to play this game anymore. I am not having fun. I feel like I can't win this game, and I'm out. I'm checking out.
Yeah.
But in that moment, what was I thinking of? I was thinking about myself. I was thinking about how I felt.
Right.
I felt bad. I was inwards. Right. But when I got out and I started to share and encourage other people and be there for them and forget about myself for just a moment and go out and serve other people and help other people, I felt better about me. And in the process of that, I also was reminded of the things that I love and how much I care about people and how much I want to help other people. And so, it's very, I know I'm going to probably piss off a couple of your listeners by saying this, but it's actually quite selfish to say I'm only going to do the things that I wanted, that I love. It's actually quite selfish when you say that.
I say that all the time anyway. So you're not pissing anybody off. They're already used to me calling people out on their stuff. So it's okay. Yeah.
And as I said, and it also is an excuse. I said it was an excuse because it prevents you, right? You can play safe. right? Oh, until I find that thing, I don't know, I'm not going to do anything. Well,
Right.
that's playing safe.
Right. Too safe.
Too safe. Playing
Right.
small.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is this, is that, your passion, and people always say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for my life. And I see a lot of young people say this. And then I ask the question, how do you know? Because so far you've been thinking it. And you've just been thinking it. You're not even going out there to try to see if that really is the case. And so what I'm hearing from you is that the experiences that you have in life, the setbacks and the successes and everything, actually shapes and molds your passion. In other words, you can't just think of what you're passionate about. You just can't make up, okay, this is what I want to do. You can't just sit there for a weekend and say, you know what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because every experience, even as a parking attendant, and this is what I heard from that, which is so brilliant, even as a parking attendant, your experience there you can help you understand, do I really like interacting with people? Or am I better working behind the scenes? Or am I, do I really want to be in a place of service at this level, or something higher, or even something a little bit more passive? It's all about discovery and refining your purpose and your passion.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I got from what you were just talking about right now.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That's when you discover. That's when you're emotion, when you're trying
Is that
things.
the name of your company somewhere?
Discover the edge. Yeah, exactly.
Discover the edge.
What's the edge? It's that sweet spot, right? Where you're doing what you love, what you're passionate about, and what you can make money at. But in order to get to that, you can't do that in a bubble. You can't figure that stuff out in a bubble. Yeah, we can walk through it. But the amazing thing is that, you, like what you just said there, so true. Until you get out and actually do it, you won't know. It's all theory. It's all hypothetical. Oh, this is going to be so awesome. I want to be a dentist. Yeah, that's going to be great. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to have so much fun. I'll make people, have, bright, shiny smiles. Then you go to university and you're like, and I had somebody actually that I went to university with and went, I hate this. Poking in people's teeth and so forth. I don't want to do this, right? Cost your parents a lot of money to go to dentistry school, right? And it's like, I think what would benefit people is to try something. Go out and volunteer. Go ask questions. Go shadow somebody. Interview people that are doing that. Ask questions. That's market research in business, right? Even a product. I mean, how many times does somebody have a product and say, everybody needs this product. This product's gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna produce. I have a client of mine who actually did that. And he's like, I'm going to produce, like $500,000 worth of product, and I've got it in storage, and it's going to just fly off the shelves. Right. And then he came to me and he's like, I got all this product. And I said, here's a tip. Next time, just a suggestion, next time, create demand before you create supply. Right. You got to go do some market research. You got to know that that's what people want, and that you're dialed in to what they really want, so you can marry the two. And it goes the same thing for us, marry it with your heart. Do I really love this?
Right.
And then what's surprising is, like, there are times where I'm like, when I first started to discover the edge, I'm going to do personality. That's what it was training and development. And it was going to do personality workshops. That's what Discover the Edge was originally.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then, I was doing it, and I was walking into businesses, and I'm looking around and I'm going, this place is like tornado hit it. What happened? So I'm talking to the owner and saying, how are things going? Oh man, I'm pulled in all these directions. So, okay, would you like some suggestions? That, led to business coaching, piloting my first business coaching project. And it went from there, and so had I waited to think, oh, Nicole, I want to, what do I want to do with it? And to be business coaching, I would have never gotten there. I only got there because I was in the space and I was seeing it occur. And then that's when I realized there was a need, there was a problem, and there was a gap that needed to be filled. So it's an evolution. So we think, oh, this is our purpose. But a lot of times what people are talking about when they're thinking about their purpose and deciding on something are actually vehicles. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They're arenas in which you do it. My core strength is in being a maximizer. I like to maximize things. That's why the systems and helping people to play to their strengths and coaching and maximizing people's potential, all of that language, right? All of those functions, coaching, training, speaking, all of that, podcasting, it all comes down to that one thing. How I do it will evolve along the way.
Right. No, I think it's really amazing. I mean, and again, as a reminder for those of you who are listening, even if you're not listening live, I mean, you can put in the comments because we get notified on this, and we can actually get the questions answered by either, with Nicole and everything. There's a lot of information that that Nicole just spilled out here. A lot of cool value gemstones. So definitely, if you have any questions, pipe it in, and just type it into the chat screen and stuff like that. But I think it's a really fascinating thing. I mean, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about, all the things that, how come there are some people that have this sense of entitlement that I actually tolerate, and there are these entrepreneurs that have that sense of entitlement that I absolutely do not tolerate. And I think it's what you were talking about, because there are people who have a sense of entitlement out of theory. And there are people who have a sense of it because they've actually gone through the ringer with it. And of course, I paid my dues, and they don't even. So those type of people, I guess we don't call them to have a sense of entitlement. We call them maybe like they paid their dues and they know now, kind of like what you've gone through in life, right?
Well, it's interesting that you just said that about entitlement. I just got a distinction, so thank you for that. There's different kinds of entitlement. Some people have entitlement. What most of us talk about when we talk about entitlement is I'm owed something. The world owes me something, right? Yeah. But then they're from a place of theory of I'm not doing anything, but they owe me anyway, regardless, just because this is who I am, right?
One of my biggest pet peeves, that right there.
Yeah, it's like I remember my parents. When I was a kid, some kids were getting allowances and so forth, and so I was like, hey, but this allowance thing and whatever. And my parents were like, do you live here? I think you live here and we live here.
Right.
Why would we pay you to clean your room? Parents. It's your room. It's your stuff. Do you not live here? You live here. Okay. Got it. So we all live here together and we're all going to help to clean up. I don't get it. They're like, we don't get paid to clean the house. Neither do you. And so that's like that entitlement of I'm just because I'm here. As an example. Right. But the other side of entitlement, which is the distinction, is actually there's a point where you go, you know what? I am actually entitled to have a great life. I am entitled. Right. And an entitlement meaning I deserve it. I'm worthy of it.
Yes.
And I'm willing to work for it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to because I'm willing to put myself out there, because I'm willing to put the effort in, learn, grow, get feedback, have setbacks, build on those setbacks. Yeah. You know what? I'm worthy of that. And I'm entitled, if you want to use that term, entitled to have that in my life. 6-figure business, 7-figure business, 8-figure, whatever it is. It's not about the money. It's about what it can do for you and how you can have more. You want more resources? The amazing thing is money's not going to show up in people's lives. You know this, right? It's not going to show up until you have a need for it.
Right. I like to fine tune that. It's not just about the money, but it's also about all the things that come along with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, money's a part of it. I get people all the time. They're like, I'm going to do my purpose. And it's just, I'm not about money. And saying, well, you know what? Honestly, and I tell this to clients all the time. I say, you know what? The grocery store doesn't take good intentions. It takes cash.
Right. And your lucky way is not here to hear you say that.
Exactly. And what you don't value doesn't hang around.
Right. Absolutely.
If you don't value money, it won't hang around.
Yeah. If money was a person, you'd be surprised. I mean, how poorly you treat people. So it's like kind of like the golden rule. And one of the easiest ways to kind of bring more money is like, okay, well, let's say, how do you treat your best friend? How do you treat people in your family to support you? Yeah. And if you can treat money the same way and react and interact with it the same way, then it will respond the same way. Now, if you have a bad family relationship and everything like that, don't do that.
Ooh, and that's interesting. Also another distinction there is how you treat money. And you don't make it a slave, just like you wouldn't any person.
Right.
Right. You wouldn't allow anybody around you to make, for you to be a slave to them, but you're not controlling them and being scarce and cheap with them either. Right. You're cherishing them. You're valuing them as it's an exchange.
Yeah, like a symbiotic relationship, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I like how you said that, because people say, well, I don't make money my slave, but they're actually the reverse. I'm a slave to money, and nobody wants to do that either, right? In this day and age, I mean, I guess maybe some people do, but I don't want a slave. That's just
No.
yeah.
No, and that's, and if you do, then it's, and you want something, even say, because I want money to be my slave. Okay, but there's something there to me that's ego. There's a control there.
It's an energy behind that.
It's an energy there that it's not going to work long term for you.
Yeah.
And I'm all about, hey, quick money. Lots of people I've known over the years have made lots of quick money, fast cash, made millions, lost it. What we're talking about here is building a legacy and creating so much value that you get paid back for it, but it's long term. I'm all about building long term businesses,
sustainability and everything.
Sustainability and stuff. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, you may make some quick money and great, having that money being my slave type of thing, but long term, it won't bring you joy. It won't bring you joy because it's not about the money. Money is just a bloody piece of paper. I mean, people say money doesn't grow on trees, and I thought about it one day and I went, actually, it does, because it's paper. In the old form of
there you go.
Paper comes from trees, does it not? Okay.
Right. So, so this is the Money Lab. And we, now that we kind of like segued so brilliantly into talking about money, let's talk a little bit about your money. So, because it sounds like you had a great entrepreneurial foundation from your childhood. Growing up, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like an entrepreneurial dream to grow up where parents are entrepreneurs. You're seeing it firsthand, how things are done. You're seeing success on a variety of different levels. And yet, despite that, money anxiety or challenges with money can still present itself. So let's talk a little bit about your money story and how that has shaped your path in your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, there was a point where I would have tried to say that it didn't, right? That I was like, I'm not doing that. And of course, that's how it was controlling me. But my parents, they knew how to work hard. They never learned, with all respect to them, and they realize this, so this isn't something that's news to them, is that what they realized is that they didn't know how to put their money to work and build investments. It was always about the business. The business was the cash cow. The business was making money, and they would basically spend it. And so it was making and spending, and making more money, spending more money, right? And then when my dad actually, even just the thought, I know that they had a house in Toronto on it was like Weston Road that they had bought, and when they went to go buy the garage, they sold the house because they were like, well, we need money to buy that garage. They sold the house and put the money into the business, not realizing until many years later, realizing that they could have had both. So there was an either or conversation going on, right? So they look back and they're like, man, that house is worth a fortune right now. And on that particular, and it's like, wow. So interestingly enough, this all leads to, the reason why I'm saying this, there's a point to this, is that, so they sold the house and then they bought the business. Then they sold that business and bought another business. Then he sold, aside from the Amway business that we had, network marketing business, they had this business and they sold it. When my dad wanted to go invest into gold mines in Brazil, he sold his Sunoco station because he needed the money to go invest in that. You see the pattern?
Yes, I see the pattern.
And so he did, and it didn't go well, and he lost it all. And so not only did he lose the money that he was invested, he lost the business, which generated the money in the first place. And what I got from that was, and it was interesting, I found actually only about 7 or 8 years ago, I found an old thing that I had done in school. You know how you have like those little projects you do in school and you keep them? Well, I was going through some stuff and I actually saw it where it was explaining this life is like a bowl of cherries type of thing. And it said on the second page, it said, and I learned that you have to work really, really hard. It's my words written down there. It's like 11, 12 years old. Have to work really, really hard to make money. And if you're lucky, you will be successful. And that right there, it was like, wow, years later, and I watched how we built our next business. Well, my dad had a few businesses in there, and then he came back and involved in network marketing because he had left it for a while. Again, same thing, sell a house, made doubled this price of the house, put it into a business. That business didn't go well, sold the, business, closed the business down, built the network marketing business, very successful, trade time, make money, spend money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that became a pattern, which I realized, even though I was a good saver, I wasn't building wealth.
Mm.
And when we built the business, what I learned was reinvest in business, keep building your business, and then you build your house. The problem with that is if you lose the business, you lose the house, you lose everything else with it.
Wow.
So,
and you've seen that, and you experienced that firsthand. I mean, going through it, growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I got that, I realized, oh my goodness. Recently, I was talking to a gentleman, Tony Pennells.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Actually, you guys would love to talk money and money conversations. But anyway, he talks about building infinite wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having this conversation about my pattern. And he said, here's the secret. He said, your wealth is never in your business. Your business builds the wealth, builds the cash flow and the profit, and then you take it out of the business and put it into things that are long-term sustainable investments, right? So the business will come and go. Again, that vehicle may evolve and change.
Right.
But you still have the wealth. So that was a huge money story for me. And there was a point where I thought, I'll never make this work. I can't figure this out. And then I realized, and I went, oh my gosh, it's right there. It's because I've been operating and doing it the wrong way. I'm counting on the business.
Yeah. I mean, when you were talking about this, this imagery came into my head. It's kind of like, there's all kinds of types of entrepreneurs, and I'm one of those serial entrepreneurs as well. But what are the things that you can look at? Think about it this way. You could either be the frog serial entrepreneur, or you could be the one that grows the lily pads. The frog jumps from one lily pad to the next, and when you jump to another lily pad, you no longer are on that lily pad. You don't own. But if you stay on a lily pad, you basically own that lily pad. But if you jump off of it, so a lot of people sounds like your parents. You grew up around like the leapfrog approach to serial entrepreneurship versus being the frog that not only jumps from lily pad to lily pad, but then takes ownership or maybe grows the lily pads for other frogs to jump on. Right? So lily pad entrepreneurship. Right? You like that metaphor? Yeah. I think I'm gonna use that again. It's like the lily pad entrepreneur.
I think I'm a frog.
Or you're a frog.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Yeah. And I think that's where that happens a lot, where you get people jumping, call them jumpers, right? Yeah. So, that's a perfect example. Network marketing is full of them, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the next thing, they're jumping from one thing to the other. And I'm not saying no disrespect to that industry. I don't build that industry.
I mean, you've grew up around that, and it has been able to fund a lot of your growth needs, I guess, your growing up needs. And so
tremendous.
So let's talk about that real quick, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who kind of like struggle with people, the bad reputation that network marketing has. But I always tell people, it is a great business model, one of the oldest forms of running business that people don't even realize. You sell, make commissions. It's like the middleman theory, but like in a big way. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's not for everybody, right?
Sorry, I keep muting myself. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? It is a great model. I've learned so much. We help people in our team to make a lot of money, that afforded them the freedom to quit their jobs and do what they love and spend time with their families and all these amazing things. And we really were in it to make a difference. And we were much more interested in not just how much we made, but in the impact that we could have through it. It's a tremendous model. You also have to recognize, again, like I was saying, it's not the business itself. One of the things that I learned in network marketing, or that was taught in network marketing, you think about all the seminars we went to. My goodness, why weren't there seminars about this stuff? Right? Why weren't there seminars teaching us to take the money out of the business and put it into other investments? Right? We didn't do that because that wasn't really taught. Now we own that. That's our responsibility. What I'm just saying is that keep in mind, it is a business, and especially people that are jumping, going to network, one networking, company to another. But what you got to do is you got to pull the money out. If you think of anybody who's been successful in that industry and has sustained their success and gone on to do great things, what they did is they pulled the money out, invest it in other things. Keep, so you're at a positive cash flow. You put a certain amount and reinvest it, and a certain amount you pull out. And usually what happens is people get into that industry and they're so passionate about it, and they believe this is the thing. This is the greatest company ever. Everybody's got this product. So they're so sold out to it. It's kind of like the entrepreneur that falls in love with his product, his or her product. That's a dangerous place to be. When you fall in love with your own product and you become so attached to your product.
Right. You can't adapt and change.
That's right. You don't adapt and change. Market changes, needs something different. And you're still holding on and saying, yeah, but this is a great thing. And they're going, it's a great thing. And it was 5 years ago, but it's not now. Yeah. And then, exactly. So my recommendation for people would be to treat it like a business,
right?
Not just in the way you operate it, but in the way that you see it.
Right. And it's not to be confused that you shouldn't be in love with what your business is here to do, right? Yes. Which is in alignment with your passion and what your purpose is, right? What you're talking about specifically, being so in love with almost like a version or of yourself, like kind of like what you were doing in the beginning, is that you're all about the assessment, right? All about going and doing the personality stuff, but then you realize, holy cow, there's a lot more. And if you were so in love with and so attached to how you first started Discover the Edge, right, then you might not have been able to sustain it to this point. You may not have been able to adapt to what the market really wanted from you specifically as a coach. Right?
Yeah, that's where the tools, right? It's a tool. It's a vehicle. Personality insights, those workshops were simply a tool that I thought at that time was the best tool for for me to help people to be everything that they're capable of being, to play to their strengths, discover their edge.
Right.
But when I realized there was so much more.
Yeah, and I totally forgot that that's like a big part of what you do, because you don't even know what I'm involved with. So we have to talk offline after the show. I'm going to tell you all kinds of really cool things that are up to. Yeah, but anyway, so
but that's just a tool. Again, it's just a tool, and that's why I say the business is strictly a vehicle. If you're attached to your car and you keep staying attached to your car, at some point, it's time to replace cars. It doesn't mean that you're not still going to get from point A to point B, but maybe you got to change cars. Maybe you need a faster car.
Right.
Maybe you need a newer car.
It's like people who refuse to upgrade their computer, or they're still on Windows XP because they think it's still the greatest thing since peanut butter.
Well, that's a mindset, right? That's a mentality. People say what's holding them back is that they love this. No, it has nothing to do with that. That's a state of mind and how they're approaching, how they're seeing it. They're attached to their comfort zone. This is safe for them. This is what they know. They're not willing to learn and grow and to learn something different. You know what? You want to be successful in business. I mean, we all have to learn things. I had to learn stuff. I had to actually, what was more valuable was even unlearning things, like what we're talking about. I had to unlearn some things so that I had space to learn new things.
That totally makes sense. I mean, think about what we do with our phones. I mean, we replace them altogether, but I mean, we remove apps all the time. When we upgrade our operating system on our computers, we don't keep the old one unless you're like Microsoft, you just layer it on. But like you remove, but you remove the old and you bring in the new, so it doesn't clutter up your path. Right?
Yes.
So I love that. I mean, and we do it already. So many of us do it already, but we just don't do it for ourselves,
Yeah. And actually, there's a lot of people that get on a tangent there about the clutter. Is sometimes, like, I look around and you're very organized. I've been in your office. It's organized. You don't keep old stuff around, right? If it's not useful, you let it go. And then with that, one of the reasons why you're successful is because you're willing to let those things go so that you can be in the present and build the future. But it's like, there's a lot of people that hold on to those computers. I have people that that like in their inbox, they got emails from like 4 years ago still sitting in their inbox.
I actually have some of that.
No, but seriously, right?
I just keep buying more space.
I know, but it's like, let it go. Let that shit go. Because it clears. I'm a big believer in clearing the space, and allowing there to be, this came from, and this is a principle. So there's practices change, methods change all the time. Principles never change. Yeah. So as a principal, I learned this, did an image course many years ago. And the lady, she said, you only wear 10% with stuff that's in your closet. right?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
all just keep repeating wearing the same stuff all the time. But we have this whole closet full. She said you wear 10% of your closet, you got 90% of stuff that one day you might wear, you know, at some point, or maybe you'll lose enough weight for the ladies, right? I'll lose enough weight to get into
Or men.
back
I
to
mean,
fit
come on.
back into that. And men, absolutely. You know, and she's like, get rid of that stuff,
Yeah.
get some nice hangers, put some hangers in there that, you know, are empty hangers.
Yeah.
And what you are doing, she said, when you do that, is you are creating space for new, beautiful clothes, handsome clothes, sexy clothes to be, for there to be room in your closet for it. And I thought about that and I thought, what a profound principle for life
Yeah.
is you got to let go of those old relationships or let go, not being mean, but just release, you know,
Right.
release those things that are not adding value anymore. It frees them up, those
Right.
clothes. You
Hmm.
give them away and somebody else can enjoy them. They become a blessing to somebody else. They're no longer a blessing to you at this time. They're not being useful to you.
Right.
You release them and they go on. The same thing. Sometimes businesses get
Yeah.
to the point where
You
they're
gotta
no
let it
longer
go.
adding value. It's like it's
Yeah.
time to move on. That's why when people say I'm going to do this thing and this is what that's also why people are having a hard time making decisions
Mhm.
on their purpose is because they're asking the question is what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Trust
Mhm.
me. You think you're going to do something for us? You have no idea. I have no idea. We have no idea. 5 years is a long time. 2 years is a long time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Things change. And so rather than thinking of something and making such a big decision, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I got to commit to the one thing. Just start somewhere and then you can release the things and it'll be something else and it'll evolve and, you know, and one
Yeah.
day you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, you
I
know,
mean,
look how far I came.
yeah, I mean that's like flow. I mean, if you
Yes.
know, if we think of money as energy and everything, it's kind of like talking about, you know, when you go to the mountains and you see a, you know, flowing river, you know, the feeling, the energy that you get is that it's fresh, it's clean, it's vibrant. And you know, like, you know, in nature, I mean, sometimes, you know, water gets siphoned off to a little pond that just sits there, stagnant
Yeah.
water and everything like that. And it's not quite as vibrant. It's not quite as fresh. It's, in fact, sometimes it's kind of stinky, you know?
True.
And so
Yeah.
I love what that whole piece that you're just talking about right now, and the importance of creating flow of you know of your space, out with the old, in with the new. And for those that are absolutely motivated by money, and it's one of those things where you have to allow that space or that thing for money to come in, for success to come in, for, and like I like how you said that. You know, you don't have to be mean about it for people that you let go, but what you're doing is you're energetically letting go. You're cutting the ties so that, you know, both parties can move on without holding on to thoughts, emotions, or things even that both of you share, right? And
Yes.
that's almost like untethering, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a relationship, and it's interesting because the right people, if they're meant to be in your life, they
They'll
will
come
come back.
back. Yeah.
And sometimes we're so attached to things. Coming back to like you know, talking about the slave concept with money, sometimes we're so attached to it, and we try to hold on
Mm-hmm.
to it. We try to hold on to relationships. We try to hold on to, you know, a tool, a
Hoarding.
thing. We hoard. Yeah, hold on to stuff. It's all the same stuff. Hoard. You know, even like holding on to that old computer. You
Yeah.
know, let it go. There's a lot more up. You'll be like so excited when you realize how you know, learn, you know, your new computer and realize all the functionality of it. When you have
Yeah.
that new relationship, you have that. And sometimes, you know, like in relationships, people are afraid of letting go. I mean, I let go of a relationship that was not working. It's my husband. He had left, right? I told you this
Mm-hmm.
story. You know, he had left. And there was a point where I said, you know, I love you, and I really do believe in you, and I think you're an amazing person. I also have to respect your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let go, and I said, let's do this. If you're going to be gone, be gone. Right.
Right.
And what's interesting in the process of me doing that, I actually created freedom for both of us and
Mm-hmm.
for him to be able to choose. I was unattached to the outcome. I became unattached to the outcome, unattached to how it all went. I just wanted him to be happy, and
Wow.
I loved him to, you
Yeah.
know, if it's with me, great. But if it's not, that's great too. I just want him to be happy and love. And what's interesting is that it actually magnetized him to me.
Wow.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's why now he said, hey, we're in the courthouse
Mm-hmm.
doing our divorce papers. And he's like, wait a second, you know, and long story short, we got back together and it's been more amazing than ever. But I think the real thing about that is because I was willing to be unattached to it.
Yeah.
I was willing to let it go. And in the process, we actually recreated our relationship, and it was far more powerful than it ever would have been.
So you evolved.
And I tried to hold on.
Yeah,
yes.
you gave the space for both of you to grow and evolve and come back and reconnect from an evolution. It's like fundamentally you guys were connected, and
Yes.
just something, life happens, right? And then you guys evolved and came. It's so cool. I mean,
and it parlays over to everything. It's a principle.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, this has been really fascinating. Believe it or not, we're actually at the time. The hour is up. So I want to make sure I give you a few minutes to, let the audience know, obviously, there's so much cool content. We could probably talk for another 2-3 hours about all these different things we segued into. But I'm pretty sure if the audience wants to connect with you, if they want to experience what it is that you can do for them, or if they just want to pick your brain a little bit, how do they reach out to you? How do they connect with you? And plus, if you have something to offer, that'd be great, actually, also.
Sure. So discovertheedge.com is my website. And on there, they can go and get a copy of a blueprint that I put together called the Purpose to Profits Blueprint.
Okay.
And the Purpose to Profits Blueprint talks you through 5 steps from transforming your purpose into a profitable business. So it actually goes purpose. Okay, now that I know my purpose, what's my product or service? And then what's the process of the business and the structure of the business and the people I need to have on my team, and how do I build to profitability? So, and I walk you through that 5-step process, and everything else in business, all the stuff, all the workings, the activities in business all actually fall into those 5 things. So they can get that there, and certainly they are welcome to, actually, if you download that, on the last page of that document, I offer a free strategy session. If you want to set up a call with me, people can set up a call with me, and we'll talk through it and discuss how that specifically applies to your particular business or your idea, what somebody's planning to do. So cool. And then of course my podcast is on there, is discovertheedge.com. You can also get to my podcast, Leaders of Transformation. So that's how you reach me.
So let me type this into the comments here. So we go to
discovertheedge.com. It's right on the homepage.
And then get the
opt-in. Yeah.
Get the purpose to profits right?
Blueprint.
And then at the end they can actually schedule a time with you to connect with you further. Awesome. Very cool. I highly recommend it because, just listening to the 5 steps right there, that's the foundation. That's really a foundation. And skipping a step is probably going to lead to detrimental results in terms of your business and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, you won't have a business.
Yeah. You may have a business that you think is a business, but it's probably just a big hobby.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, you know what? Thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on the show and sharing your insights and gems. And there was just so much. I'm going to have to actually go back myself and listen to everything again, because as you're talking, I'm just like going through all these different thoughts came up. So some really, really cool, amazing things. So if you're not hearing this live and you're hearing this, make sure you have a notepad out. Like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, Nicole just has such a wealth of knowledge, and from her experience and all the running the gamut from 0 to 8 figures to 7 to 6 to 0, just running that whole thing, taking those setbacks and turning them into stepping stones, and then being able to help others do the same. Absolutely make sure you connect with her, because she has some really amazing services to kind of help you get to that next level, if you will. Any last thing so Nicole, I always like to kind of encourage people who brought so much to the table like you to kind of concise it down to, if someone who is stuck in their business or starting their business or just had a major setback in their business, what would you recommend as first step, aside from like getting your information and everything to connect with you? But what would you say would be a good, like a mindset thing or an energetic thing that you would recommend that would create that little tiny incremental shift so that they can actually start moving in the right direction?
Well, I think the first thing is they got to get real. You got to get real about where you're at and what happened, what's going on. The what so. Oftentimes we try to resist that and looking at it. And I think that, if you go through a process, what I call the feedback loop of what happened, what worked, what didn't work, what did I learn, and what am I going to do to move forward? And either if it worked, if something that worked well, I can leverage it for more success. If it didn't work well, I can course correct and make adjustments. And if you can go through that feedback loop, when we were sitting there and our business had completely fallen apart, I sat there and went, what the heck just happened? Right? Like what the, and I went back and I extracted all of the learning that I could from it. And that was the basis. That's how you turn your setbacks into stepping stones. So get real and really take time. And you may need somebody to help you through that process because you don't know what you don't know. And you're so close in it that you can't see it. So maybe sitting down with somebody and saying, hey, you know, like, here's what happened. And they can help you to unpack it because you're emotionally charged to it. So whether you're stagnant, that works. Whether you're you know, you've been struggling and you fell apart, you know, either way, you can learn so much from, you know, from just looking back, getting real, looking back and saying, okay, what can I learn from this? And how do I move forward? You know, the biggest thing I always tell clients is it's like, okay, all of that stuff happened. You got to get, now some people stay there and they live there in the story, but there's a point though, once you do that, then you go, okay, now what? Now what? What am I going to do with all that?
Get real.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's great. That's really great advice. Get real. And I love what you said, you know, don't do it alone. I mean, I don't know any super successful, happy entrepreneur out there that goes around saying, oh, I did this all by myself. I don't think anybody has done this. Success is absolutely a team sport. So seek out the help, get the support. I mean, the best way to do it, especially if you're inspired by today's show, is reach out to Nicole and really connect with her. And so that way you can start to see what your options are to kind of help you get unstuck or take your business to the next level or even just get started, right? Yeah. So once again, Nicole, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking time, especially, you know, when you were feeling the way you were feeling this morning and just showing up anyway. So I absolutely want to honor you for that and appreciate you for that, for taking the time to do that.
Oh, thank you for having me, Wei. It's such a pleasure. And I will be listening to this again too. Some really good distinctions came out just even having a conversation. And that's a testament to when you're talking to somebody, you know, and you're on the same wavelength and you're just elevating and learning and growing. And that's what community is all about, and masterminds and brainstorming and conversations like this are super valuable. It goes both ways. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, just, you know, one-upping the evolutionary of man, right?
Yes.
So, excuse me. So very cool. So that's our show for the week. And again, if you found this episode to be valuable and know of someone that could benefit from what we talked about today, totally share it, and if you didn't find something, listen to it again, because you must have missed something, because there's so much stuff. And if you are a fan, another way to pay it forward is to rate and review us on iTunes, Spreaker, we're now on Stitcher, and like the episode on Google Live. Honestly, that's one of the best ways for us to reach more people and a way for you to help us pay it forward, and how we get the message on that, how to create that successful entrepreneurial six-figure lifestyle. So that is a wrap. And take this week to apply the knowledge from today, and have an amazing week. And we'll catch you next week on the Money Lab live podcast from the Six Figure Academy. So this is Wei and Nicole signing off. All right. And that's the end of the Spreaker broadcast. And we're going to sign off here on Google Hangout Live. So again, Nicole, thank you so much for being here and sharing the wisdom and everything. I mean, and just sharing the most recent events, and that in itself was very valuable too. So thank you so much. So everybody, say goodbye to Nicole. Wave. If you have any comments and everything, post it anyway. I'll make sure that Nicole gets the question and get the answer, so that you guys can do that. All right. Absolutely. All right. Until next week. See ya.
All right. Thank you.